Hi, my name is Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I was born in 1882 in Hyde Park, New York. In 1905, I met and married my wife, Eleanor Roosevelt. In 1910, I became the Senator of New York. By 1920, I was the Democratic nominee for Vice President. In 1928, I became the Governor of New York. In the year of 1932, I won the election and became the President of the United States. However, earlier in the year of 1932, I was diagnosed with poliomyelitis, also known as polio. This disease caused me to lose function in both of my legs. However, with time and treatment in Warm Springs, Georgia, I was able to get a little bit of function back into both of my legs. I was re-elected for President of the United States in 1936. I was the president during both the Great Depression and during the attack of Pearl Harbor. Unfortunately, I died of a cerebral hemorrhage on April 12, 1945 in Warm Springs, Georgia. The Great Depression was present during the years of 1929 to 1939. It was known as the hardest and longest economic downturn in history of the Western industrialized world. The Great Depression began after the stock market crash in October of 1929. The Depression wiped out millions of investors. There were many declines in industrial output. Consumer spending and investment dropped during the Great Depression. Failing companies were forced to lay off their workers. By the year of 1933, 13 to 15 million Americans were unemployed. More than half of the banks failed. World War II helped the American industry get back on its feet because they used the factories that were once used for creating goods for people to make weapons for the war. On December 7, 1941, hundreds of Japanese fighting planes attacked the American naval base at Pearl Harbor. The attack lasted for 2 hours. The Japanese destroyed 20 American naval vessels, including 8 battleships and over 200 planes. More than 2,000 soldiers and sailors died during the attack, and over 1,000 soldiers and sailors were wounded. The very next day, President Roosevelt asked Congress to declare war on Japan, and in one single vote, Congress all agreed. 3 days later, Germany and Italy, Japan's allies, declared war on the United States. After 2 years of back-to-back conflict, America joined World War II. On my board here in my presentation, I have in the middle all the facts about Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I have my essay on Franklin Delano Roosevelt, which I will read to you in just a moment. And I have my facts about the attack of Pearl Harbor, the Great Depression, a picture of Pearl Harbor, a picture of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a lady and her children during the Great Depression, and my works cited page is right here. And I have 2 quotes from Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The first one is, "Men are not prisoners of fate, but prisoners of their own mind." And the second one is, "The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today." So the essay that I wrote just sums up all of the facts about Pearl Harbor, the Great Depression, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So I'll read that to you. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the President of the United States for 3 consecutive terms. He was elected for president 4 times. However, he died 3 months into his 4th term. Franklin D. Roosevelt was a very successful man from a very young age. He was president during the Great Depression and during the attack of Pearl Harbor. During the Great Depression, between the years of 1929 to 1939, Roosevelt helped Americans that were unemployed and fighting to support their families. Millions of Americans were laid off and became unemployed within a couple of years in the Depression. The Great Depression was known as the hardest and longest economic downturn in the history of Western industrialized world. However, even though America fell on tough times economically, President Roosevelt helped a tremendous amount and saved America. A few years later, after America became successful again, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor and Honolulu, Hawaii. There was an enormous amount of damage done to the American naval base. The next day, President Roosevelt declared war on Japan, and after 2 years of constant conflict, America joined World War II. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was diagnosed with poliomyelitis in 1932, the same year he was elected as president. Franklin Delano Roosevelt went to Warm Springs, Georgia for treatment and began swimming in the hot springs as his treatment. Amazingly, this treatment helped, and he was able to gain function in both of his legs. Even though Franklin Delano Roosevelt had many accomplishments throughout his life, he passed away on April 12, 1945 of a cerebral hemorrhage in Warm Springs, Georgia. Although he may have passed and he's gone, his legacy will always live on. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye.